So what's up guys, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be learning about adjectives and its types. So it is really going to be fun because adjectives are a very major part of our English grammar and they are really important and we should always get the knowledge of them because they are really important and they are really a very major part of English grammar. So today we are going to learn about adjectives and its types. So let's start. So first of all, I would like to give you all a basic definition of what are adjectives. So let's start. An adjective is a word that tells us more about a noun. It basically describes or modifies a noun. It describes or modifies a noun. Old, green, cheerful, and are all examples of adjectives. It might be useful to think adjectives as describing words. An adjective often comes before a noun. So what this definition basically tells us is that an adjective is any kind of word that basically tells us that basically describes us about a noun, more about a noun. It basically describes or modifies a noun. Old, green, cheerful are all examples of adjectives. We can really think them of as describing words. It's easy to think them as describing words because they basically describe any kind of noun or pronoun. An adjective often comes before a noun. For example, they live in a beautiful house. So here we can see that beautiful is an adjective because it is basically describing the house. That how is the house looking? It is looking beautiful. So beautiful here is an adjective. Ben is an adorable baby. So adorable basically here is an adjective. It basically tells us about the how is the baby looking. So the baby is looking adorable. So the adorable is basically the adjective in this case. This shop is much nicer. So in this case, shop is the in this case nicer is the adjective. Now it's not always necessary that adjective often comes before the noun, but it is always not necessary that adjective will always come before the noun. And also in this shop is much nicer. Here we can see that there are basically two adjectives, this and nicer. This is a part of demonstrative adjective which we are going to be studying later. So I hope it is clear to you about the basic definition of adjective, that adjective are basically the describing words. They describe any kind of noun. They basically tell us about the quality of any kind of noun or any kind of pronoun. They live in a beautiful house, so beautiful is the adjective here. Ben is an adorable baby, so adorable is the adjective here. This shop is much nicer, so nicer is the adjective here. So I hope it's clear to you. Now let's move on to types of adjective. So there are basically 8 types of the adjectives are broadly divided into 8 main types. First one is descriptive adjective, second is demonstrative adjective, third is distributive adjective, fourth is interrogative adjective, fifth is numeral adjective, sixth is quantitative adjective, seventh is proper adjective, and eighth is possessive adjective. So we are going to be discussing about each of them. So first of all, I would like to come to descriptive adjectives. Descriptive adjectives are used to illustrate or describe the qualities of a noun or pronoun of a sentence. So this definition tells us that descriptive adjectives are the type of adjectives that basically tell us about the quality of a noun. They basically tell about that how is the noun looking or how is the noun doing anything. They basically describe the noun or the qualities. They basically describe the qualities of a noun. For example, Harley Davidson is an expensive bike. So in this case, expensive is the descriptive adjective because it is basically describing that how is the bike, what is the cost of the bike. So Harley Davidson is an expensive bike. The Great Khali is the tall man in the wrestling industry. So how is the Great Khali? The Great Khali is a tall man. So in this area, descriptive adjective is the tall is the descriptive adjective because basically it is describing the Great Khali. Oxford University has an attractive infrastructure. So what kind of infrastructure does Oxford University have? Attractive. So in this case, attractive is basically the descriptive adjective. They basically tell us about the quality of any noun or any pronoun, that how is the noun looking. I hope it is clear to you. Now let's move on to our second one, demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjective. It is used It is used to express the position of a noun. It, it is used to express the position of a noun. It comes before other adjectives in phrases or sentences. These, that, these, those, all are demonstrative adjectives. Basically, demonstrative adjectives are used to express the position of a noun. They basically come before other adjectives in phrases or sentences. And there are four demonstrative adjectives: these, that, these, this, these, that, those, which you may have studied in your previous classes. Examples are: those are Harry's bike and car collection. These are my batchmates. Collect all the fruits and put on that table. So they are basically expressing the position of a noun, that where is the noun located. So those, there are Harry's bike and car collections. These are my batchmates. Collect all the fruits and put it on that table. So I hope it is clear to you. They basically tell us the position of any noun. Now let's go move on to our next one, which is distributive adjective. Distributive adjectives are generally used to point to a particular group or individual and are used with singular nouns. It is used to modify nouns. Each, neither, every, either are four distributive adjectives. They basically are used to tell about a particular of group of nouns or individual and are always used with singular nouns. It is used to modify nouns. Each, neither, every, and either are four distributive adjectives. For example, each student has to take part in cultural events. So each student, here the distributive adjective is each. There were two washing machines, but neither worked properly. Neither is the distributive adjective in this case. Every bogie of a train is filled with coal. So here, bogie, every is the distributive adjective. So I hope it is clear to you. Distributive adjectives are generally used to point to a particular group or individual and are used with singular nouns. And also they are used to modify nouns. Let's move on to our next one. Next one is interrogative adjectives. Interrogative adjectives are used to interrogate nouns and modify them. They basically are used to ask questions. There are three interrogative adjectives: which, what, and whose, respectively. What is the exact location of your residence? Which of these bracelets do you want to purchase? Whose projects are completed, mine or yours? So basically, interrogative adjectives are used to ask any kind of question relating to a particular topic. And there are three main kinds of interrogative adjectives, which are which, what, and whose. For example, what is the location of your residence? Means where do you live? Which of these bracelets do you want to purchase and whose projects are completed? I hope it is clear to you. Now let's move on to our next one. Numeral adjectives. A numeral adjective determines us about the number of the nouns present in any sentence. They basically tell us about the quantity, the number of any noun which is present in a sentence. For example, he bought 3 eggs at the supermarket. So here we can see that how many eggs did he buy? He bought exactly 3 eggs. So it is basically telling us the number of eggs he bought at the supermarket, meaning the number of things in a sentence. 3, were 7 patients in the doctor's waiting room and Max was the first. So here we can see that 7 patients. So how many patients were there? There were 7 patients. The 11th batsman has the most stress of making runs in cricket. So the 11th batsman has the most stress. So I hope it is clear to you. They basically point out the number of things in a sentence. Furthermore, the numeral adjectives are furthermore divided into 3 types: definitive, definite numeral adjectives, cardinal and ordinal, indefinite numeral adjectives, and distributive numeral adjectives. Let's study about them as well. First of all, what are definite numeral adjectives? Definite numeral adjectives use cardinals, which are number in amounts, and ordinals, which are number used in an order. They basically tell us about the numbers which are used in amount, or basically the numbers which are used as in order. Example, 3 cats ran up the steps. So in this case, the word 3 is a cardinal number because it is telling us about the specific number, that how many cats were there. 3 cats. The third cat was the brown cat. Now in this case, The word third is an ordinal number telling us about the information, some information of the position of a brown cat, i.e., it was third in line. So basically, cardinal tells us about the amount of anything, and ordinal tells us about the order of anything. And definitive numeral adjective consists of these two. They use cardinal numbers and ordinal numbers. I hope it is clear to you. Next comes indefinite numeral adjectives. An indefinite numeral adjective is an adjective used to describe a noun in non-specific count. Means the count here is not specific. We do not know that what is the amount of anything in each case. The most common indefinite adjectives are any, each, few, many, much, most, several, and some. For example, I liked most people at the party. Some mice have chewed the cables. Each team will receive a 2-minute warning before the start. So here we can see that I like most people at the party. So most, we don't know how many people are there. We just know that there are many people who, out of which they like most people at the party. Some mice chewed the table. So we don't know the exact amount of mice who chewed the table. Each team will receive a 2-minute warning before the start. So each team, we don't know how many teams are there, but we just know that each team will receive a 2-minute warning before the start. I hope it is clear to you. Let's move on to our next one. Distributive numeral adjectives. Distributive numeral adjectives are same as distributive adjectives. Distributive numeral adjectives denote singular number of noun among many. Distributive numeral adjectives are always followed by a singular verb, singular noun, and a verb. Distributive numeral adjectives are each, every, either, neither. So they basically are the same as distributive adjectives. Examples are everything he said is true. Each student is responsible for littering the classroom. Either of the ways is correct. So I hope it is clear to you. Distributive adjectives are basically same as distributive adjective. Distributive numeral adjective denote the singular number of noun among many nouns. Everything he said is true. Each student and either of the ways. I hope it is clear to you. Our next one is quantitative adjective. The quantitative adjective is used to explain the noun, person or thing and its quantity in a sentence. Sometimes a numeral adjective is also called a quantitative adjective, though it specifies the numbers. Some quantitative adjectives are little, more, much, few, all, large, small, tall, 30, 50, etc. For example, he played the guitar for the very first time. So in this case, first is a quantitative adjective. I scored 98 marks in a recent test. So here 98 is a quantitative adjective because it is telling us about any specific amount. My office cabin is shifted to the second floor. So here second is the quantitative adjective because it is telling us the position of a noun. So they are also similar to numeral adjectives. Basically, the quantitative adjective is used to tell the quantity of any noun, any person or anything in a sentence. I hope it is clear to you. Now let's move on to our next one. It is proper adjective. Proper adjective indicates an appropriate person, thing, animal, or object. It refers to particular person of existence and hence needs to be capitalized. They basically do the job of proper nouns. For example, Asian countries organized a Commonwealth Games. So here Asian is the proper adjective in this case. The Indian Ocean is the third largest ocean on earth. The Indian Ocean is a proper adjective. I tasted different types of food, but Indian food has the best taste. So here, Indian food is the proper adjective in this case. So they basically do the job of a proper noun in a sentence. Let's move on to our next one. Possessive adjective. This is the last type of adjective. A possessive adjective shows the possession nature of the noun to a person or people in a sentence. The possessive adjective also performs as a possessive pronoun. So they basically tells our possession towards anything. They basically tells a person's possession towards any kind of person, any kind of thing, or any kind of noun. For example, my computer is not working as fast as it worked in the beginning. So here my computer. So basically we are showing our possession towards the computer. Our father told us not to quarrel with anyone. So here basically our father. So we are showing our possession towards the father. Your cycle has been stolen yesterday. Your cycle. So we basically are indicating his possession towards his cycle. So possessive adjectives basically show the possession nature of the noun to any person, any people or any kind of thing in a sentence. I hope it is clear to you. Now let me give you all a very quick recap of what we have learned today. So first of all, what is an adjective? An adjective is a word that tells us more about a noun. It describes or modifies a noun. It describes or modifies a noun in a very specific way. Old, green, and cheerful are examples of adjectives. And it also might be useful to think of adjective as describing words. They basically describe other nouns. An adjective often comes before a noun, but it is not necessary that it will always come before a noun. It often comes before a noun, but sometimes you will be able to see adjective at the last of the sentence. For example, this shop is much nicer. There are basically 8 types of, there are broadly, adjectives are broadly divided into 8 types, which are descriptive adjective, demonstrative adjective, distributive adjective, interrogative adjective, numeral adjective, quantitative adjective, proper adjective, and possessive adjective. Descriptive adjective basically describes the qualities of a noun or pronoun in a sentence, and they basically tell us about the quality of any noun. Demonstrative adjective tells us about any position of a noun, that where is the noun specifically located. Distributive adjectives are generally used to point a particular group or individual, and they are always used with singular nouns, and they are also used to modify nouns. Each, neither, every, and either are 4 distributive adjectives. Interrogative adjectives are basically used to interrogate noun and modify them. They basically are used to ask questions. There are 3 interrogative adjectives: which, what, and whose. Numeral adjectives. A numeral adjective determines us about the number of nouns present in a sentence. They basically tell us about the number or any order of the number in a sentence. And also, numeral adjectives are broadly divided into 3 more types, which are definitive numeral adjectives, definite numeral adjectives, indefinite numeral adjectives, distributive numeral adjectives. Definite numeral adjectives are, they are the adjectives which use cardinal, which are numbers used in an amount, and ordinals, which are numbers used as in an order. And indefinite numeral adjectives are the adjectives which are used to describe a noun in a non-specific count. The count here is not specific, and common indefinite adjectives are any, each, few, many, much, more, much, most, several, and some. Distributive numeral adjectives are same as distributive adjectives. They do the same role of distributive adjectives, but both are used at different kind of cases. Both are not used at everywhere at the same case. Both are used in different cases as used to for need. Distributive numeral adjective denotes singular number of noun among many nouns. Examples: everything he said is true. Each student is responsible for littering classroom. Quantitative adjective. Quantitative adjective is used to explain the noun, person, or thing, and its quantity in a sentence. It basically tells us about the quantity of any noun or pronoun in a sentence. Some quantitative adjectives are little, more, much, few, all, large, small, tiny, tall, 30, 50, etc. Proper adjective. Proper adjective indicates an appropriate person, thing, animal, or object. It basically does the job of any proper noun in a sentence. It refers to a particular person of existence and hence needs to be capitalized. For example, Asian countries, they are a proper noun. The Indian Ocean, they are also a proper noun. And I tasted different types of food, but Indian food is also a proper noun. And our last comes is the possessive adjective. A possessive adjective shows the possession nature of the noun to a person or a people in a sentence. It basically shows our possession towards anything, any person, or anything in any noun in a sentence. So I hope these all things are clear to you. I really hope that you enjoyed learning today's session, and I know that the adjectives are a little bit of hard topic, but if you will keep on revising the things and keep on practicing and keep on gaining different knowledge regarding the topic adjectives, then you will soon master them. I hope you really liked today's session and learned a lot of things. So that's it for today from my side. Keep on revising, keep on learning. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe, and also remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like the video. Thank you.